Watch here with South Metro weather, and we have flooding rains going on across our area, which for the most part is not a bad thing here in our area, but it does cause some problems when we have flooding that's actively going on. We love rain. In July, we will take every bit of it we can get, but this might be a little bit much. You see behind me here, we have a flash flood warning until 6 p.m. for parts of Bosque and Hill counties, northern part of McLennan County there, and then the rest of our area is covered in rain. We've seen heavy rain in Navarro County here for quite some time. Looks like the rain rates are letting up, but the rain continues. And then here in Ellis and Johnson counties right now, these storms quickly blossoming up. Right there, central Johnson County, and you look at this, look at that. We got these outflow boundaries that are coming together as well. All hell's broken loose as far as these storms. Now, I will say that these are not severe in nature at this time, at least they're not severe warned, but this storm in northern Ellis County, there could be some gusty winds there. I would not be surprised if maybe there's some small hail there as well. I mean, you can see an outflow boundary going through Dallas right now, heading towards the mid-cities. There's a lot of activity going on, and so I think our 50% chance of rain just got bumped up a few ticks here. So across our area, heavy rain continues. Like I said, the rain rates are coming down in Navarro County. There was heavy rain across the county here, but things are letting up a little bit. Again, it's not as heavy, not as much coming down, but it's still there. Over northern Ellis County right now, I do want to kind of zoom in on, let's go county by county here, starting with Hill County. This is where we have the flash flood warning. Of course, to the north, you see this storm in Johnson County going to be making its way towards Rio Vista, towards Itasca, towards Grandview. So that's going to be a heavy storm that will be moving south. The good news is that one is moving. Now, this outflow boundary might slow it down a little bit, but that is going to be headed that direction. And really the big problem with the storms in Hill County here, you can see that the heavy rain's just sitting there. So that's really what has prompted the flash flood warning for Hill and Bosque counties, is the heavy rain's just sitting there. Rain rates coming down right now in Bosque County, so things are letting up a little bit, except for that cell near Morgan. And then in the northern parts of our area, let's look at Johnson County here. Zoom in a little bit. Again, if you're in Cleburne, for some reason, this map will not show Cleburne. I don't know why. Haven't been able to figure that one out. And look at this, look at this. One frame. All these new storms in the wake of that outflow boundary. A lot of activity going on right now, and one of those could be dropping some hail near Itasca. So very, very active weather going on. Let me kind of get this moved around so I can operate this effectively. Lots and lots of rain falling across our area. Lots of lightning and thunder with these two. So flash flood warning for parts of Bosque, Hill, and McLennan until 6 o'clock. So I'm just making sure I'm reading that right here. And make sure you share this stream. I'm concerned about heavy rain kind of sneaking up on people today and not necessarily watching the flood threat that's going on. So make sure you share this stream, share this with your friends so that everyone can stay aware here. There's a good thunderclap. So we also have in Ellis County, and I'm probably hearing this storm right here. So the Oak Leaf, Midlothian, Red Oak, Ovilla area stretching over to Ferris. Fairly strong storm here, and again, you can see that outflow boundary feeding into these storms and competing outflow off to the west here too. So lots of new activity popping up in addition to the existing activity, and that, folks, is causing these flood concerns. The only flash flood warning in our immediate area here is for Hill, Bosque, and parts of McLennan County. Now, for the rest of the area, though, I am concerned about really all of us seeing quite a bit of heavy rain here. Ellis County is probably my next primary concern here because we have all of this activity moving to the north, and then we have activity coming in from the south and from the north, and that could cause a bit of a stalemate in terms of the movement right over Waxahachie, Ennis, Palmer. So we will have to watch that to see if we can keep the rain moving, or if it's going to be a similar situation to what we saw going on and still see in Hill County, where we could have those flooding concerns. Lots of lightning and thunder with these storms too, so I will have to be vigilant about hopefully not losing power here. If we do, we have backup systems and that kind of thing. The good news is that really there's not much of a tornado threat on what we're seeing right now. So I'm not too terribly worried about tornadoes. There was a picture by another meteorologist in central Texas, really far western central Texas, of a funnel cloud earlier. We're not sure if that could have been some kind of land spout or if it was a tornado or whatever the case was. So there's different variations possible there, but there haven't been any reports of damage up to this point. So I'm not really concerned about tornadoes. Really, the biggest threat I have in mind for us today is going to be the flooding. There's plenty of rain out there. If we zoom this out a little bit, there is plenty of rain, especially east of 35 here. So along and east of 35. And so lots of rain in Henderson County. There's a flood advisory there. Van Zandt and Kaufman counties as well, on up into the Greenville area too. And so, and the weather cat has arrived here. So, and if you see this, this is just the phone. So you just ignore that. And so, Lisa Palmer, you're asking, will Midlothian flood? Well, I mean, flooding will be a concern there. Not much of Midlothian's getting rain right now. Kind of have to see if that's going to fill in a little bit there. But really, any of our areas that get these persistent downpours could be under the gun for these flooding concerns. And somebody commenting, any chance this might be past downtown Waxahachie by 7? We have pictures tonight, and I'm not sure. A little hard to say what's going to be happening at that point. We could have this activity continuing through sunset at this point. It's hard to call. I can't say definitively one way or the other. So time will tell, and I apologize if you're hearing kiddos playing in the background. Jensen loves to yell, whether he's happy or sad. So if you hear him hollering, it's not always a bad thing. But the flooding is definitely the main concern here. Lightning, thunder, that's going to be a feature of these storms. You will know they are there. It's going to be a persistent deal, I think, today. But we should be able to avoid I will say, in terms of tornadoes, it's really not much of a threat here, especially with all this coverage of rain, all this coverage of storms. In order to make a tornado, you really need exposure to outflow or inflow, really. That's where the storm is pulling in that warm air, and there's not really much of an opportunity for that in these storms. Now, you can have a tropical atmosphere where sometimes you're going to get these little tropical funnels that don't really do anything. So I can't rule those out, but as far as tornadoes that actually do damage, not very likely today. This just isn't a setup that's really conducive to that. And so if you're jumping on here thinking that the world is coming to an end, the good news is that for severe weather, the threat is really not that great, but we are looking at flooding concerns across our area. I'm going to take a peek out the window and see if we're getting rain yet. We're close. There are gusty winds here, and a common feature of these storms in the summer is your gusty winds, because you have a lot of force, you have a lot of lift, and in turn that's going to end up turning into downbursts and microbursts that push down out of the storm, and those winds push out in all directions. So there will be the possibility of some very gusty winds with these particular storms as well. So that's where we kind of stand. In fact, let's get a little closer and watch. Let's check the velocity and see. We could have some gusty winds in this storm south of Keene, north of Rio Vista there, and then could just be pockets of gusty winds throughout the rest of these storms. I'm not seeing one particular area that has me really too concerned. And then if we look at the VIL, we'll check and see if there's any small hail to be had here. Again, I'm not really expecting that very much, because I'm kind of not really sure we're going to see one or two prevailing updrafts at this point. But near Midlothian, east of there could be some small hail in that storm, but that will really be, I think, dependent on that particular storm. It's not going to be a widespread issue today. So if you're just joining in, we have a flash flood warning that is in effect until 6 p.m. that includes, it's this little polygon right here, this kind of curved box almost. Hillsborough included in that, Whitney, West, Meridian, so Bosque County, northern McLennan County, parts of Hill County here. That's who's included in that flash flood warning. No other warnings for these other storms here. Rain rates are coming down in Navarro County right now, so that is a good thing. The rain continues, but you're not getting as much of it as quickly. But we do have new storms popping up now in parts of Johnson, Hill, and Ellis counties, and so that is where we're going to see an increased likelihood of some flooding problems. So first of all, if you're in a flood-prone area, you do definitely want to be paying attention to this, and then going on from there, if you are next to streams and creeks and those kind of things, yeah, you'll want to keep an eye on those too, because this is a lot of heavy rain that can, in a short amount of time, accumulate quite a bit. So that can make a difference and increase that concern here. I am watching this storm in northern Ellis County. If anything, it looks like this is probably the strongest storm we have right now. Nothing is severe warned at this time in terms of severe thunderstorm warnings or anything of that sort, but it is a storm that is showing some intensity. And of course, we've been watching these two outflow boundaries that came together, and you can see what happened to this storm as that moved northward. In the wake of that, it's not quite where they came together, but in southern Johnson County, you see them come together and bam, it creates that storm there. So we are seeing the result of these outflow boundaries kind of going everywhere and colliding, making a nice storm there in southern Johnson County. This storm passing over, just getting over me now, so we are getting rain here at the studio. Italy has been getting quite a bit of heavy rain. That kind of shifted a little bit northeastward towards Ennis there now. So just be prepared for the possibility of flooding as these storms continue. They are going to be around, and these storms are going to be fairly persistent today. And you can see even the storm in northern Ellis County not moving a lot. It really just kind of grows. So if you're under this storm in the Oakleaf, Ovilla, Midlothian, Red Oak area, that could be a flooding storm as well. Again, because you are getting heavy rain rates, quickly accumulating rain, and that storm really isn't moving a whole lot. And really this whole line has kind of slowed down a little bit. Heavy rain from Venus onto the Cleburne area on south of there. So that's what we're watching right now. That's what we have in our area. No severe weather in terms of large hail damaging winds or tornadoes reported. The main concern is going to be the flooding here. And like I say, make sure you're sharing this stream, getting it to people's attention, because as we continue to see this rain pick up and increase in coverage, we will be dealing with more flooding possibilities. And you may not be quite in a mode to be prepared for flooding today, so that will need to be something that we're paying attention to. Here in Ellis County, I mentioned that was one of the stronger storms that we were watching here. We will have to keep an eye on that. Northern Waxahachie, Red Oak, Oakleaf, Ovilla, Midlothian area. So this is where we're watching that storm kind of starting to connect over here to this one over in Venus, where we had those outflow boundaries come together. We're starting to see some of that kind of fill in here. So that will continue on to the southeast. But as I mentioned, we saw those get closer to those other storms to the south, hit that resistant, those opposing winds there, and so that has caused it to slow down. So that's part of the problem here, is some of these outflow boundaries are influencing that slowdown. So we will be monitoring all of this. Things are calming down for Milford and Italy right now, but that continues on now towards Bardwell, Ennis area. And I don't think we have anything new. Let me just check the updates here, and if you're in the comments here, if you do have those flooding reports, make sure that you're sending those in so that we can make sure we're reporting accurate and up-to-date information. I don't have anything yet on anything out of Navarro County. I checked in to see if there was possibly any reports of problems there from emergency management or any of those agencies, but I don't see any of those at this time. Not that I checked. I'll double check again, but I'm not seeing that at this point. The good news is, like I said, it's rain rates are coming down in Navarro County, so that does reduce that threat a little bit. And Johnson County Emergency Management commenting that it's a very warm rain. I mean, it definitely is. So it's definitely, we are getting a warmer rain, and I mean, it's in the summertime, and we are getting rain from some of this warm Gulf moisture. So it doesn't surprise me too much that when you feel those raindrops, they're not exactly chilly. So I'm just checking for any updates here, any reports. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm looking at the rain here now, and we are getting quite a bit of a heavy rain here at the studio, but it is heavier just outside of Midlothian. Like I say, we're getting this kind of filling in here. As I mentioned, we're not really looking at much of a tornado threat or a very large hail threat today because we have more coverage of these storms, and so that makes it harder for one storm or the other to dominate and really get organized. That's the good news. The bad news is that flooding is a concern today. We already have the flash flood warning for parts of Hill, Bosque, and McLennan counties there, down to in the southern part of our area. And I have a few people asking about Wednesday. For Wednesday, we do have a chance of showers and thunderstorms. It does look like it will be more to our south by that point. Now, just like any other of our situations that we've seen before, where we have storms staying to our south when they send those alpha boundaries north, sometimes that can change the forecast a little bit and bring those storms farther north. But for now, it does look like on Wednesday, just a low chance of storms that will mostly be south of our area. Somebody on YouTube is asking, where is this? This is north central Texas. So we are covering Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Navarro counties between Dallas and Waco. That is what we do here at South Metro Weather. So just so you're aware there, I know that we get viewers from across the country, and a lot of YouTube streamers have a tendency to kind of cover all across the country. I jokingly call them keyboard storm chasers, right? They cover any kind of storms going on in any part of the country, on a streaming platform like this. But what's different about us is we do things much more focused on one area or the other. All right, so like I say, I'm just watching for more updates. I'm just going to keep that screen up here. And somebody from Italy is checking in. Rain is letting up in Italy. I know that there was quite a bit of heavy rain in that area a while ago, but the rain in Italy is kind of starting to subside a little bit. So that's the good news. Things are beginning to calm down just a little bit. Jennifer Lawnbeck, you're asking, how is Red Oak area? You realize it's out of Ellis County. Well, Red Oak is in Ellis County. Red Oak is right here near Oakleaf and Ovilla, so right there on 35. Next to that, of course, you have Glen Heights there as well. But we have quite a bit of heavy rain in the Red Oak area right now. So heavy rain there, flooding is a concern there, as this storm is bringing a lot of heavy rain and it's not moving much. The heavy rain is pretty persistent in that area. So if you are in Red Oak, you will want to watch for any kind of persistent rains in that particular area. But as I say, it is, you do have, what am I looking at here? I keep getting distracted by new messages here. Red Oak is in Ellis County. So part of Red Oak, there was, well, it doesn't actually go into Dallas County. There was some attempt there to get some Dallas influence there, but Red Oak stops at the county line there. They did not want to have any part of Dallas County, as far as I know. But near there is Glen Heights. Now that goes into both counties, so maybe that's some of the confusion there. Michael, you're asking about hail. I mean, there's a possibility of hail today, but any hail we get is probably going to be small. I'm not really expecting any severe hail, large hail in our area today. I really think that we will be avoiding that. And the question about the Palmer area, there is rain headed towards that area. So you can see Palmer here, and these storms are slowly but surely making their way. So if you are in Palmer, you will want to be prepared for heavy rain to enter that area. It is definitely on the way. So I think that about answers the questions. Let me I'm gonna get this cart to agree with me here, and you can see the phone here, but that's all that is. It just serves as another screen here to keep updates coming in. And of course, I appreciate the Venmo and Cash App and all that kind of stuff too. So thank you so much for always giving to those. Never expected, always appreciated. So that stuff is great. Lightning, heavy rain in southwest Midlothian. John Dieterman saying Palmer loves you. Well, I appreciate that. Some pea-sized hail briefly in Ovilla. So that's about what I was thinking. So in the Ovilla area here, report of just brief pea-sized hail. So that seems pretty consistent with what we're seeing up there. So if we do get hail, it won't be the kind of massive, baseball-sized hail coming down that we've seen in some storms. It's going to be smaller in nature. I want to double check velocity here. Let's see what kind of winds we have, just so we can check for. Now it's messing with the windows here. Just so we can check for damaging winds, see if we have any downbursts going on. First is the vertically integrated liquid, and a couple of areas near Rio Vista and here near Midlothian could be seeing some small hail there. We got the report in Ovilla just a short time ago of some small hail. So small pea-sized brief hail is possible. And then looking at the velocity here, again, there could be some pockets of stronger winds, but I'm not seeing any kind of particular area that is causing too much concern here. So let's get back here, let's broaden this out. And I see the question about McLennan County. Right now, things fairly calm in McLennan County. I won't use the Q word, but fairly calm in the McLennan County area. But north of there, let's get this back into motion. The rain clearing out for now in McLennan County at the moment. Doesn't look like anything is immediately headed that direction. We will have to watch and see if any of this activity continues farther south. I have my doubts though, so I think most of McLennan County at this point is going to stay dry. There may be some of this from Bosque County that moves into that Gulson area, Gulson and West and Abbott there, but I think for the most part, you're not going to see the kinds of very heavy and persistent rains that are going on right now in Hill, Johnson, and Ellis counties here. Navarro County looks like rain rates might be picking up once again, and that's going to be another area that I really do think we could end up seeing a flash flood there I think we could see a flash flood warning there fairly soon. Glenn, you're asking about Carl's Corner, and at least moderate rain there. Could be some heavier rain coming in that way, but definitely persistent rain at very least in the Carl's Corner, Milford area right now. So you will need to keep an eye on things there for the possibility of some flooding. Very heavy rain here at the studio right now, coming down pretty good, and that's going to be this storm here. We really have had a line fill in across parts of Ellis and Johnson counties here where we had those two alpha boundaries come together. David Hatley saying that it's excellent weather for late July, especially if you consider what it was like this day last year. You're absolutely right. I mean, we do have abnormally dry conditions here. If you look at the what am I trying to think of? The drought monitor map. We do have, and that's really the lowest on the mark there. It was a little bit of time before we had a substantial rain, but I can tell you that most of this area is probably going to peel that back after today. And we have more rain chances possible the rest of the week. We have this northwest flow, and we have a stationary front right over our area. And those things coming together will mean more chances of rain over the next several days. does look like that will mostly focus south of our area. It could even be mostly south of Waco by the time we get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday period and into the weekend. Good news is that the temperatures will stay relatively cool at least through the end of the week. I think as we get into the following week and start getting into August, we'll probably be back in the upper 90s and 100 range, but we will have temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s, at least for the rest of this week. So we will definitely enjoy that. Temperatures today, I don't see them getting into the 90s here, at least for most of us. I think we're going to have enough rain-cooled air and enough cloud cover that we should be able to avoid the 90s today. So it will be a relatively cool area for us. Chris Ball, Forrest Gump, big rain in Midlothian. Walnut Grove completely flooded out, so there's that report. I never mentioned cats and dogs falling from the sky. It is a very heavy rain day. I did mention that any of these persistent downpours could lead to flooding, and as we watched the afternoon continue, we did see that persistent rain in parts of Hill and Navarro counties. And so that's when I started kind of raising those concerns. And then of course we do have the flash flood warning for parts of Hill, Bosque, and just the northern corner there of McLennan County. So that's where that warning is right now. I do expect that the flood issue, the flood concerns may be rising for Navarro County. There's been quite a bit of heavy rain there today, and then a more steady rain is settling in. Getting a report of scary looking clouds in Alvarado. The good news is that you shouldn't be expecting any kind of funnel clouds or anything like that. There was a report of that in western portions of central Texas earlier today. The good news is that that's not normally going to be a tornado situation. When you have a very tropical atmosphere like this, that can lead to a situation where you have these tropical funnels that don't really do anything. They just kind of spin up a little bit, look freaky, and then go away. So not expecting tornadoes to really be an issue here today. I'm going to see if I can clarify the camera here a little bit because it's looking fuzzy to me. And I know most people may not notice that, but it looks terrible to me. Okay, I think that's about as good as that's going to get. So just taking a quick moment to do the whole producer thing here. I'm my own producer in this studio, so every now and then I have to make those quick little adjustments. But northern Ellis County and parts of Johnson County, really southern Johnson County there, that's where the heaviest rain is right now. This was all moving southeast, and you saw those outflow boundaries come together. I think that's kind of slowed this line up a little bit, but I think that we will still see some southeasterly motion from this. Quite a bit of lightning there in northern Ellis and southern Johnson counties too. So quite a bit of lightning and heavy rain from these storms, and no flash flood warnings in the northern part of our area here. So really the only of our core 4 counties here that's included in this is Hill County. As I mentioned, parts of McLennan and Bosque counties included as well. And talking about Bosque County, so from Bosque County over towards south of Stephenville, north of Hamilton, we have persistent heavy rain developing there too. So that could be another area of concern when it comes to these flooding rains. And Ashley, you're asking, do we have a time frame when this will clear out? I don't have a hard time for you as far as, you know, hey, it's going to be all gone by this time. I think we will see rain continue off and on for most of us through probably at least sundown. I think once the sun goes down, we'll probably see most of this start to kind of lose that intensity. And some areas could clear out before then. But I do think that we will at least see off and on, and I think we will still see some heavy rain in the area persisting through sunset. So I think that is what we can expect here. That's what I would say to expect. I really don't think that we're going to see anything prior to that, or at least not a full everything clearing out. The good news is that rain chances go down through the rest of the week. So I think this might be the peak of our rain coverage here. More showers and thunderstorms possible tomorrow, but as we get through the rest of the week, we see those chances start to taper off. We see the focus of the heavy rain start to push farther south, and so that's probably going to be our saving grace, but we will keep the cooler temperatures at least, so that is something. But it's hard to argue with this in July. It's July 22nd, folks. We are just over a week away, about a week and a half away from the beginning of August, and we have this much rain coming down. I think this is just what the doctor ordered. I don't wish flooding on anybody. I know that can cause a lot of problems, but it'd be nice if we could get all of this rain without those flooding concerns. But we will be thankful for this when we get into August, because every bit of rain we can get in the summer is absolutely helpful. August and sometimes September are often very dry months. So happy, very happy to get all of this rain in our area today. Sean Wynn over on YouTube, so you're from Virginia, and we're broadcasting here in North Central Texas, covering North Central Texas. So we unfortunately don't have any information about Virginia for you today. Heavy rain continues here at the studio and really across much of our area. If you're just joining our coverage, we have quite a bit of heavy rain, and a lot of it is very persistent here for Hill, Bosque, and parts of McLennan County there. A flash flood warning until 6 p.m. That does not include Navarro County, where we've had quite a bit of heavy rain. Does not include Ellis and Johnson counties, where we have quite a bit of heavy rain falling right now, starting to move into parts of northern Hill County. We may need another flash flood warning here for parts of this area, depending on how quickly or not these rain showers, these thunderstorms displace. For the moment, it doesn't look like they're going to be displacing much. Looks like they're going to be hanging around quite a bit. And so I'm not really thinking that we can get rid of any kind of flooding concerns for these particular areas. We see an outflow boundary moving westward there. Yes, okay, so now flood advisory has been issued for Ellis, Hill, Johnson, and Kaufman counties. So this is not a flood warning necessarily, but this is a flood advisory. Let me see if I can get those. I wonder if I can get those pulled up here. Those are not normally going to be included here, but okay. And so we'll start to kind of put more things on the map here. But here's our flood advisory. So just to kind of show you the difference, this is in fact, I wonder if I can change the color there, because they're just too similar. A lot of the time, and you can see on the screen, they tend to use the same color for basically everything, and I don't want to use the same. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to adjust this to where, because the flash flood warnings and the flood advisories really look almost too similar at this point. Maybe that helps. Okay, so here is your flood advisories. Okay, you see this kind of light aqua color there. I think that is aquamarine type color. Aquamarine, aqua green, however we want to label that. And then this is your flash flood warning, where you have the lime green here. So that's your two differences. This flood advisory, of course, covering this area. Those flood advisories can easily turn into flash flood warnings, but we do have flood advisories in place now for parts of Johnson, Northern Hill, and most of Ellis County right now. These rains, very heavy rain for these areas. Very heavy rain, lots of lightning and thunder. Could be some small hail in these storms as well. We've had a report of small, brief pea-sized hail over in Ovilla, so nothing too terribly intense right now, but it is enough to cause some concern out there. But really, the severe weather threat, as I mentioned, the severe weather threat really is not too great at this time. We're not looking at much in terms of large hail, damaging winds, certainly not really seeing any kind of sign of tornadoes out there, but we are looking at flooding concerns. Really, that's the only thing that I think is going to cause any kind of disruptions or any damage today, is the possibility of that flooding. If we zoom this out a little bit here, and let's actually do the radar mosaic. We'll lose some detail here, but I want to show you how much of the state is getting rain right now. If we can get it to, Let's see if we can get that to come up here. That mosaic. There we go. So here's all the rain we have. So all the way from San Marcos and College Station, the Woodlands, on up into our area. So plenty of rain falling here. Jackie's saying much better with the map change for flooding. Yeah, I mean, that's so we're making sure to show the flood advisories as well as the flash flood warnings, and we'll make sure that you're informed on what is what. But this is all the rain across the state of Texas. Definitely needing the rain over from Brady to Brownwood over to San Angelo. So hopefully these rains are helping some of the drought conditions out that way. But for our particular area, we haven't gotten into drought territory yet. And this will definitely, I think, turn back the clock as we get through the next several days and begin counting down to August. Like I said, August and September are oftentimes our worst months when it comes to these drought conditions. Seems like we get very deep into a drought in August, and it takes forever to start to kind of peel that away in September. So hopefully, if we can get enough rain today, that will kind of peel back and pull us away from the brink on those drought conditions coming up probably next month. I can't guarantee it. I can't forecast what August is going to be like right now. The trends point to at least early August being another hot one. So really it looks like normal temperatures, normal conditions will return for the early part of August, but that could change as we get closer. We're still over a week away. So those things could be changing here fairly soon. So the heavy rain, I mean, you can see it on the map from Kaufman all the way to Waxahachie on down to Grandview and Itasca and Rio Vista there. So this is our focus of all this heavy rain. This is where we have those flood advisories. So flood advisories right now for parts of Kaufman, Ellis, Johnson, and Northern Hill counties, and then the flash flood warning for parts of Hill, parts of McLennan, parts of Bosque counties right now. So that's where we stand with all of these. And we'll look at the text of that flood advisory. That goes until 7 p.m. Doppler radar indicated heavy rain due to thunderstorms. This will likely cause urban and small stream flooding. Low-lying and poor drainage areas will experience minor flooding in the advisory area. So then let's compare that to the flash flood warning, which has much more, I would say, intense wording here. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area. Between 2 and 3 inches of rain have fallen. Additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible. Let me remind you, for the Dallas-Fort Worth and the Waco area, average rainfall for this point by this time in July is about 1.25 inches, maybe somewhere between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches. That's based on what I looked at yesterday. So we should be under 2 inches for that normal rainfall, and we may well get beyond that in some places today, to say nothing of the heavy rain we got yesterday in parts of Hill and Johnson counties. So we've had plenty of this to go around, and this rain is definitely going to put us, I think, ahead in a time when we will take all we can get, because August is usually a fairly dry month. Usually by now we're starting to set up for a very dry August. So hopefully we can get this rain in the ground, maybe pull us back from the brink a little bit and get us in a better position for what is really usually the hottest part of summer. The good news is, too, this hottest period of summer historically, we're starting it with temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. I don't think we will see the 90s today. I think we'll have enough rain-cooled air and enough of this cloud cover that we will not see temperatures in the 90s for today. I think we will be stuck in the 80s. I'm going to pull this up and take a look. Let's see what the current temperatures look like here, if it'll cooperate with me. Well, that's not going to work. Let's get this here. All right, so yeah, we're in the 70s here, folks. We got 79 in Cleburne, 75 in Corsicana, 73 in Midlothian, 71 in Hillsborough. So Hillsborough right now, you're almost in the 60s for your temperatures. We're in the mid-70s in the Waco area, mid-70s in south of Mexia there. And then up in the Metroplex, you're in the 80s up here. So they're 88 degrees in Mansfield, 87 in Fort Worth, 86, 88 at Love Field right now. So mid to upper 80s in the Metroplex, but man, we are in the 70s, almost in the 60s in some places where we do have the clouds and the rain-cooled air. So you can't ask for much different than that when we get down to really the last several days, the last week or so of July. Definitely not a bad situation. So the climatology just came in. The high temperature at DFW today, 88 degrees. The high temperature at Waco, 84. And again, you compare that, we're in the 70s here, folks, across our 4 counties here. So not much to complain about in terms of our temperatures, but we could do without all of the flooding concerns. And here at the studio, we are just about to hit half an inch of rain today. So that's going to be very, very beneficial for this time of year here. So very, very excited to see that. And, you know, we will have to pay attention to these areas where we have, again, these flood advisory in Kaufman County, Ellis County, and Johnson County here, and then the flash flood warning until 6 p.m. for parts of Hill, McLennan, and Bosque counties here. Let me just check one more thing, and I know I've had people complain about me being on my phone, but hey, I'm my own news director. Who's going to do, what are they going to do, fire me? I'm not going to fire me. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So storms continue here, obviously. I mean, you can see pretty clearly. Now, again, I want to remind you, people may be looking at this going, whoa, is that a hook echo there? We're not really looking at tornado risks today. There was a picture posted earlier of a funnel cloud of some sort over western portions of central Texas. We're not really looking at that. I think we could see a tropical funnel or two, and those are usually just little funnels that kind of pop up, spin around a little while, dance around a little while, and then go away. Never really hit the ground. But we are not really looking at the kind of, you know, potential for destructive tornadoes, not really even looking at a large hail or damaging wind threat. Flooding is really our only concern here. So that's the good news here. Severe weather threat fairly low for our area. Still hearing the thunder here. Plenty of lightning in these storms too. So you definitely want to make sure if you're anywhere near these storms that you're inside. Hopefully you are. Lightning can strike 30 miles outside of a storm, and we have plenty of space for that across our area. Well, I thought I had water in there, maybe not. Have to get some of that later on. And I was gonna let Jensen jump on air here, but he's getting a snack, so he is quite happy. Giovanni, the only funnel you want is a funnel cake. I agree with you. I absolutely. That sounds really good right now. I shouldn't have one, but it definitely sounds good right about now. And David, yeah, you got plenty of thunderstorms in the Waxahachie area, particularly northern Waxahachie here. Plenty of these storms. Lawrence Arch, you're asking about Nashville. That's a little out of my area. We're in northern Texas here, north central Texas more specifically. And so, you're asking about, somebody asking about Cleburne over the next hour. So for the Cleburne area here, I will say we're probably looking at... And to be honest with you, I mean, it doesn't look like much is headed to Cleburne at the moment. It's hard to say, though. We have an outflow boundary in that particular area at the moment. So you can see that outflow boundary moving through Keene towards Burleson here. So we could see more storms develop in the wake of that outflow boundary in the Cleburne area, but for the moment, there's nothing really headed that direction. So over the next hour, the best I can give you for the Cleburne area is that a few storms are indeed possible. I don't think that it's a slam dunk there. We don't have anything imminently head that way, but more showers and thunderstorms will be possible in Cleburne and really across our area over the next several hours. We had somebody asking, when is the rain going to end? And really, I don't have much of a time for you. I think that by the time we start seeing sunset, we start losing that daytime heating. Again, we're not really that warm. We're in the 70s across our area, but where we do see those temperatures, I think that we could see a lot of this weakening as we lose some of that daytime heating. We'll look at the velocity here, make sure we don't see any kind of big wind gusts or anything like that. Doesn't look like it. So we're not seeing any kind of downbursts or anything of that sort. And then we'll check the VIL here for the hail threats. Not really seeing much of that either. We'll take a look at this stronger storm. Looks like the VIL, that hail threat, is diminishing here. When you have most of these, when you have more of these storms going on, when you have this kind of coverage of a lot of storms across this area, it's harder to get those updrafts needed for the large hail and the tornado threat, that kind of thing, because these storms start kind of competing with each other. R.A. Green saying no electricity on Sterrett by Walgreens distribution. That's going to be in parts of Waxahachie, between Waxahachie and Midlothian there. So just understand that there are unfortunately, some power outages due to all of this. But it gets harder for one storm to get more organized than another, and so that can present some of those issues. John Shubin, you're asking about, will it be raining at the YMCA in Waxahachie at 6? It's hard to say. I debated whether I was going to wear this shirt, but I'd like for them to sponsor me, but I felt like this shirt might be appropriate for today. But as far as 6 o'clock, the YMCA in Waxahachie, it's hard to call. It could be, but we're still about an hour and a half, about an hour and 20 minutes away from there. I would say the way the rain is, be prepared for rain in that area around 6 o'clock. We may see this move out, but we could see more rain replace it. And so it's hard to say either way. Whether or not we will see rain in that particular location at that particular time. It's possible, but can't say for sure. And all of this rain, it makes me wonder, all of this rain and all of the controversy we've seen, it makes me wonder if there's like a rain scent freshie out there. I know that freshies are a very popular topic in the area right now on social media. So if there is a rain scented freshie, maybe we can start seeing those go around. Maybe in August, when we miss the rain, we can load up on rain-scented freshies and get the rain smell for us. So I couldn't help but bring that up. I was telling somebody about that today, and about the controversies there. It's nuts. It's nuts the way things can come up on social media. If you're just joining us here, we are covering flooding rains here. And the good news is that in the area of this flash flood warning from parts of Hill County, northern McLennan County, over in Bosque County here. So this particular area, we are looking at a flash flood warning until 6 o'clock, but the good news is that we are seeing rain rates coming down in that area. So lighter rains, more steady rains, not going to help the flood situation, but it at least won't make it worse. But we do have the brighter green here. This is the flood advisory here. So this is from parts of Johnson and Hill County onto Ellis County, back into Kaufman County. You can see these pockets of heavier rain. It looks like that's getting less organized now. It really kind of, I think, hit its prime. And then now that it's starting to, the outflow boundary is moving away from that now. We don't have that peak of energy, and it's moving into some more stable air. And Billy Brister, I agree, the freshies, it was a few days ago, but sometimes things on the internet live forever, so I'm sure that'll keep going on. But the northern Hill County right now, we see the rain rates picking up. So while the area that is warned, the rain rates are getting bigger, or getting better rather, we are seeing this storm slowly move into northern Hill County. So that will be the biggest concern here. And then between Waxahachie and Midlothian, there's some heavier rain there, and then in the Ennis area as well. Amber, talking about the turf wars, I've had people tell me that I should not be covering particular areas because they have others covering them already. There's always going to be overlap in business. There's always going to be overlap in business. So you can't, The trick is not to, say that you own one area or the other. The trick is to just be the best person doing the job. And so I can't go to WFAA in Dallas and tell them you can't cover Ellis County anymore. You can't cover Johnson County, can't cover Navarro or Hill. You can't do that. You just have to make sure that you're doing the best job that you can. That's really all you can do. I have a video up, and maybe I should go post this there. And if you're so worried about what your competition is doing, if you're so worried about what the other guy is trying to do in competition with what you're doing, then you're going to face some problems. You're going to be really struggling in the business world. And just a brief story, and we'll get back to this, but I think it's relevant here at least, because I've been talking about flooding for, let's see, what am I hearing? Okay, I guess it's a show or something. Heard a weird noise, so I wasn't sure what was going on there. But I've been talking about flooding for almost an hour here, but here's the thing. If in business you are so concerned with what your competition is doing, you're going to lose sight of doing what you do well. And I think there might be an element of that in what occurred with this whole controversy. When I was in school, I was racing a friend to the front door. This was an elementary school, Wedgeworth Elementary in Waxahachie, when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. And racing my friend to the front door after we had gone outside and raised the U.S. and Texas flags. I was honored enough to be part of the flag group that morning. And we're racing to the door, and I knew I was faster than this guy, so I wasn't really worried about the race. Well, he beat me, and I didn't understand how. Well, one of the teachers was out there. I think he was a PE teacher, conveniently enough, or a coach or something like that. And he told me, as long as you're looking at him, you're not going to win, because you're so busy looking at him, you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So he allowed us to do a rematch. I watched the door. I watched the prize right in front of me, and I smoked him. Got way ahead of him. So the moral of the story, if you want to do well in business, don't let your competition live in your head rent-free and completely ruin you of your ability to do your job well. Do your job well, give it everything you've got, and you'll be just fine. If you're just joining us here and you're hearing me give business advice here, we are covering flooding rains here from parts of Johnson, Hill, Ellis, and Kaufman counties here. The rain rates have come down for parts of Navarro County. That is definitely helpful. Parts of Hill County, at least in this flash flood warning that goes until 6 o'clock, the rain rates have let up a little bit, but northern Hill County, southern Johnson County here, plenty of heavy rain. For Ellis County as well, we had reports earlier today of brief pea-sized hail in parts of Ellis County, but the good news is that we are seeing that let up a little bit here. In fact, the rain is starting to let up here at the studio. Not near as heavy as it was, but we do have flooding concerns. If we broaden this out, there is more rain out there. There's plenty of rain south of us. And as you can see in our particular area, these outflow boundaries have created a lot of the storms that we're looking at now. More development there north of Hillsborough towards Mansfield here. So across our area, we are getting plenty of conditions that are favorable for flooding, in some cases flash flooding, so you will need to pay attention to that today. I'll reiterate, the good news is overall the severe weather threat is not that great, but we are looking at conditions where we could be dealing with some flooding problems. Not much of a tornado threat today, not really looking at large hail, damaging winds, any of that kind of thing. Mostly just going to be concerned about the flooding across our area. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream so I can continue to monitor this in more detail. But thank you so much for watching, and continue to follow South Metro Weather for more updates on the flooding threat across our area.